Well, it's New Year's Eve 2023, and 2024 is just over the horizon, and we're looking forward to seeing what curious world we're going to be in, maybe 12 months from now. I made a video, I'm trying to think now, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 18 months ago, I'm not sure, in which I was recommending a film that's been extremely influential to me through my life. I first watched this film, I think, when I was a young teenager. And there was something about it, something about the main star, the character and the actor who played in this film, who also produced and directed this film. And I made a tribute to this. I'll link it below, of course. And it stayed with me. And just by chance, as I was preparing dinner, I saw it pop up in my feed. It's on YouTube. I'll leave a link to the actual film as well. Made, I believe, in 1941. It was a propaganda film. It was to give people hope, I think. And the lead was there saving people from Nazi Germany. And he was a vague, I suppose in some ways, a sort of unassuming man who actually behind the scenes, using his brains, planned some very heroic escapes for people who were at that point in the film in Germany just before the march on Poland. It's a film that a lot of people perhaps have never heard of or have dismissed and maybe do not think is necessarily a great film. For me, there's just some quality about it. The lead actor was actually half American, but you wouldn't know it to look at him. I've got I think it was his biography by his son. And it's a shame because the actor was shot down during the war, murdered by the German Nazi Air Force. There may have been other people on board that plane that they also wanted to get, but I think they were very much worried about the influence that this particular filmmaker, an actor, producer, director, was having at that time. He also made another film about the beginning of the Spitfire, in which he played Mitchell, who designed the Spitfire, and Mitchell died of cancer before the Battle of Britain. But of course, his Spitfire, along with the Hurricane, was very instrumental in fighter command, in fending off the German bomber Luftwaffe. But this particular film it came up, it just came up in my feed, and I started to watch it, and I realised again, actually for me, and maybe for others, I don't know, has given me a huge amount of hope and encouragement, bravery, I suppose. People say to me, "Oh, Richard, you're very brave in doing your videos." I don't feel particularly brave. I sit here, I have opinions, people don't necessarily agree with me, and that's absolutely fine. We shouldn't agree with everybody on everything. This is why, in many ways, a one world government is, of course, a complete nonsense, because we're never going to agree with just one system. And plus, how can a one world government, if a government was ever going to work correctly, be able to do the bidding of its people of the world? A government, of course, is secondary to man. I keep banging on about this in my videos. Man clearly came first and decided it needed some form of administration and formed a government. And then we have the representations, which in this country are MPs. And the way the system should work is that the people get together and say, hey, this is what we need to make our life more helpful and fruitful, to be nice to one another and be good, and to have rules and some systems that we can all agree and work by. And we tell the MPs, who should be our mouthpieces, to go to the government and say, go and do this. but we've seen it's reversed, that the government are saying the things that we're going to have, like it or not. But that's not how it should be. And so clearly a one world government would be nonsense, because we can't have a one world government or a one system dominating everybody. It can't possibly, unless, of course, it was tyrannical and a dictatorship. And that goes, of course, against the grain of every sovereign individual in the world. But anyway, this film was showing during the Second World War, in which Nazi Germany was desperately trying to dominate a number of countries. And of course, Britain went to war with them. Now, let's not get into the reasons for that and who backed it. We know that the same people were effectively backing both sides and made a lot of money from it. But we won't go into that. The film itself is about hope. It's about bravery. It's about being courageous. It's about laughing in many ways in the face of adversity. And for me, it's very much a metaphor for the times that we're in which we, with uncertain future, have got to be brave. We've got to be courageous. And we do have to laugh in the face of our adversity. And I feel that going forward into this new year and the following subsequent years, a huge awakening is going to happen, and many people will become aware of the great harm that has happened to many people. And I've been speaking about this many, many times. There's something very English about this film. I appreciate not everybody watching this is, of course, English, or even comes from an English culture, and may not have English as your first language. And this is, I'm not in any way denigrating who watches this and where they come from. And you may disagree with me that the essence of this film is indeed the type of Englishness that you agree with. But it speaks to me. It speaks to my heart of a genteel and brave, courageous England that once was, and that stood up against tyranny. And I feel that those qualities is what we're going to be needing in spades in the future. And if we adhere to those qualities, we will. There's a particular moment at the very end of the film with the lead actor, and he tells his protagonist, or his the anti-hero in this, he tells him that he's doomed, captain of murderers. He tells him that he will fail, that he will be taking the first step on a long line of steps, and they'll have to go on and on, but they are doomed. The film is called Pimpernel Smith and stars Leslie Howard. It's a black and white film made pretty much all in England on some locations. It is an amazing film, I feel, and it's incredible seeing that it's 80 years old. Leslie Howard, as I say, was murdered, shot down in an aeroplane in his prime. He played Mitchell in the film, and I believe he was also in The Scarlet Pimpernel, which Pimpernel Smith is a sort of a modern day version of it. For me, it speaks volumes about where we are and the plucky English spirit and what we need as a nation going forward and as a world. And I think we do have it. And I think as more people begin to become aware of the great harm, and they start to think of their roots and what they want in their lives, some of this essence of this film, which in some ways is just very gentle and kind-natured in a way, may ooze into people's consciousness. I hope it does. But if you have nothing better to do on New Year's Eve, and you've got 2 hours, and you want to get away from all the nonsense that's been going, and you're not particularly interested in the big Hollywood films that have all the predictive messages in and all of that nonsense, and you want something which is perhaps more courageous and hits you in the heart and gives you a stirring feeling that there is hope, then I highly recommend this film, Pimpernel Smith. As I say, the link will be in the description. It's on YouTube. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like it. I hope it says something to you. Of course, it may not. You may have your own recommendations. You may have a film that you would like to share with people that means something to you. And by all means, put the name of it in the description. Be wary of links, because sometimes YouTube doesn't allow the links to go in. I don't know why. I wish you a very happy new year. I hope that 2024 is going to unfold in a very positive way. I feel that it will. I do feel that it will be turbulent, and there's going to be a lot of things which will challenge us. But I think if we're positive and we focus on those things that are important to us, if we stick to our morals, if we're courageous, and if we're decent people, and we try not to be nasty to others, and we do no harm, and we're honourable, I think we will win this. For I believe that light will fill the darkness and cast it away forever. I honestly believe that. And so, to everybody watching, to all those wonderful people who've supported me and enjoyed my shows, those that have criticised me and called me a controlled opposition or a shill, or have just been sort of meh about me, I'm happy to wish you a happy new year, and hope that you have joy and love in your heart to face whatever we come. It's going to be an interesting time, and I will see you on, as they say, on the other side. I will see you in 2024. And so I raise a glass and thank you for the donations, the comments, the kind emails, the various people who've booked me to talk and events. It's been an absolute joy to serve and to give you a little piece of my mind and all those wonderful people I've interviewed. Happy New Year and good luck for the future.